Well, good morning. I'm starting my wonderful walk this morning from Edington Church. And obviously I'm in Edington in Wiltshire, which is the site of the Battle of Edington, that nobody knows where it was. But we're going to walk on the secrets of the Battle of Edington walk, which is a walk that I'm going to follow across and highlight certain areas which may be of interest and actually show us where the battle happened. So that's what we're going to do today. Very interesting, and please come along and we'll see what happens. And just as I leave the area of the church, you can just see over there propped on the wall, the tomb on the wall. If you watch one of my previous videos, you'll find out all about that. But a very unusual thing, very unusual indeed. So I'm going to say goodbye to the church now and carry on this way, I think. Well, I'm now down by the village pub called the Three Daggers, and you can see the Three Daggers there. And they actually brew a beer called 878. So you can actually see that there's still a large connection between the village and the past of the Battle of Edington. And this is the pub here. We won't be going in for a drink, and there's the sign there. And we'll carry on our route, I think. I then leave the village of Edington, which is the probable site of the Battle of Edington, or Edington as I like to call it. It's been one of my historical hang-ups. And then I head for the open countryside towards Colston. And there is a reason for that, which I'll get to when we get there. And this is where I enter into the real open countryside, boggy, muddy, but it's all on the way to see that possible link to Alfred, that possible lost part of history. And you can see the landscape down here is absolutely flat, amazing. You've got Rainway Hill over there in the distance, and we'll carry on this way along here for about a mile or so till we get to the area that we've got to get to. And as I'm walking along the fields here, you may wonder how I found this route. Well, I didn't find it. It's a friend of mine called John. I call him Uncle John. Lovely chap. And this is one of his walks that he planned and made up. And that's why I'm going to call it the Edington Battle Ring. So well done, John, if you're watching. And we'll carry on along this boggy field and get to where we want to be, which is just over the brow of the hill in a moment. This field, if you look on side-by-side maps, it shows it as a moat. So this would have been a high structure with something on the top of it, and could very well have been the Manor, Edington Manor. So truly incredible, and that may link in to the battle and the battle site, because Chippenham to the north of here is more or less dead in line, the way I'm looking now with this. So that is dead in line across from here. I couldn't resist this, so I'm actually going to take a walk up the hill. Hope I don't get told off, but we'll give it a try and see what it's like on the top. Now on the top, and you can see that it's a giant hill as such that was moated. So this could have been the manor left to Ellsworth by Alfred the Great, or Alfred as we know him really. And it goes all the way round towards the hills there, and then back to where we started, and I'll go on down and carry on with our walk. But truly incredible place. So this was actually moated. It must have been absolutely gigantic. And just entering back into the fields now, ready to head over to that footpath over there. And this boggy spot, look at that down there, big sarsen in the mud, incredible. Might have come from the manor, who knows. Might have been some symbolic stone at one stage, now just lost to the mud. Well, the walk in total is about 8 miles, and we're just heading into the village of Coulston now, and it is a great walk. We've got the boggy bit over and done with, which is the main thing, and then from now on it's sort of easy going, a few steep hills, but great fun. And you really do feel the history in this area. And as we come into the village of Coulston, here we are. There's the old village well house. Have a look inside. So the well would have been in here. Don't think it's anything to do with the battle, obviously, but interesting, and all concreted over on the floor where the well would have been. So I think we'll carry on from this little structure on up towards the church, and another significant thing that may link in with the battle. So let's carry on up here. I then walk up by the church in Coulston and through this gate here towards the deer park. Gated ones. And what you see here is an ancient spring. Uses watercress beds later, but I think for a short while. But you can see that this spring may have been used for water by all sorts of people, but could have been used by the troops coming from Chippenham that then went on to fight Alfred and the Danes. And you can see the water there in the distance coming out of the hills. Natural spring coming out there, which is quite interesting. So take a last look at the deer and see them over there with the big stag in the distance. Aeroplane going over, of course. Can be easy, can it? And we'll carry on up this way now and on up towards the hills. The area you can see here is called Flinty Knap, so presumably where they used to knap flints. That's quite an interesting name. And we carry on up over here, on up towards, you can hear it there in the distance, Salisbury Plain. And so we carry on up this steep path. It falls into a wooded area and brings us up onto the plain. And just as I come up to the top of Flinty Knap, see, there we are, they're looking back down where we come. You can see these strip lynchets here. So quite a site of ancient farming here, if nothing else. We've just got to the top of Flinty Knap and I couldn't find any flint. Bits of chalk, very slippery, very steep, but no work flint. Oh well, till the next time I think we'll carry on that way and get on to Salisbury Plain where there's some more wonders to show you. And now we're up on Salisbury Plain, where a battle could have happened anywhere and still does today. And you can see just scanning around where I am. And further up this route is an old milestone that we'll have a look at, because this was once a coaching road, and obviously they had coaching roads on the higher routes because the lower routes were boggy, full of trees and nothing but a problem, and the hollow ways you could easily get ambushed in, so that is why they use these upper tracks. As we walk along here, we can see the milestone coming into view. A relic from a time gone past when this was a main route, old coaching route. And it's just a nice thing to see when you're up here. Has nothing to do with the Battle of Edington, but a great thing to see. But it's still incredible to see and think that it's still here after all these years. Lovely. Right, and long may it continue. Carry on this way and then up across the fields. This leads on down to a place called Salisbury Hollow eventually in Edington, but we're going to turn off towards the fields because there's something else there which is quite significant to a possible battle area. And just at this spot in the field here, in the corner of this field, hasn't got anything to do with the battle, but is a lovely pear tree. These are round pears. There we are, round pears. Very unusual. See what they taste like. Let's taste the pear. Absolutely incredible. Tastes fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Well, there's the long barrow in the distance, and you can see what a commanding position it had over here, and any one of a number of these fields could have had the Battle of Edington or Edington in them, but also too that the long barrow up here, for all we know, may have contained the remains of the battle. You never know. Well, here we are up at the long barrow, and there's a little gap in the fence there, so I think I might just pop in and have a look around this wonderful structure from 2500 BC minimum in such a prominent position. The sun would have risen over this in the direction we're looking, and obviously set in this direction here. Truly amazing to think our ancients are buried in a place like this. Well, I now head on up a hill towards an airfield, then across the top of Picket Hill, or Protest Hill as it can otherwise be called, and looking over the valleys towards Bratton, and then we'll be nearly completing the walk. But to remember that any of these fields that we've walked through, any of these places that we've been, could have been where the Battle of Edington happened. But the area around Colston, with the manor being left there to Ellsworth, may be very significant. But we'll carry on, and I'm sure we'll see some wonderful things. Well, I finished the walk, walking back through this old holloway, and then down through a part of the village, up through Court Lane and back to the church. Well, I'm finishing my route back at Edington Church where it started. What a fantastic route it is. Thank you, John. And if you've got any ideas on the Battle of Edington, perhaps they've helped you a bit with seeing these extra things. It's an unknown for all of us. Nobody knows where it happened, knows the exact battleground at all. So, thank you for joining me.